Well, hello there, folks. Hope you're loving the crazy background. Today, I'm just switching things up. I've recently launched the book, so that's super exciting. It's called Create Transformation and Advanced Training Skills for Workshop Facilitators. In today's video, to launch things off and to really promote the book and get it out there, today I want to talk to you about how does a master trainer, master presenter, really look at designing training or designing a presentation so it has maximum impact. What we need to realize is when an amateur first starts out, they will often do info dumps, right? Going, I'm going to say this, and it's just slide up, slide up, slide up, slide. What we need to appreciate, though, is a master trainer approaches things very differently. And this is something that I learned from my mentor, Ben Harvey, who really talked to me about the outcomes that we are trying to create whenever we are delivering a presentation. And this was a massive aha for me, and something I really love to share with all up and coming trainers, presenters, which is essentially that as a trainer, we are fundamentally looking to change people's thoughts, change their actions, and change their lives. And the purpose of training is to do exactly that, help people change their thoughts, their actions, and as a result, their lives. So if we are looking to design training, it kind of doesn't make sense to just go randomly, blah, 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 blah. And you may think that's a little bit crazy, but that's often how people hear our content, right? But we need to start to think, okay, if I'm delivering this content and I know that fundamentally the majority of people are going to forget the majority of what I say, if not 90%, why would I bother telling them all this stuff if they're probably going to forget it? So we need to start to be intentional about what do we want them to remember. All right, maybe you got 30 minutes, maybe you got 1 hour, maybe you got 90 minutes, right? What do you actually want them to remember from what you've gone through? Like, what's the one thing that you really want them to remember? The second piece around that is what do you want them to do as a result of listening to your presentation? So let's look at a couple of examples here, folks. So maybe you're teaching safety. I don't know. Like maybe you're like falling into the trap of teaching all the laws, the legislations, the blah blah, right? How to wear the blah blah, how to put on the equipment and or put on the safety gear, whatever it is, right? But at the end of the day, out of all of that, what's the one thing that you actually want people to remember? Maybe you want them to remember that their safety and the safety of other people around them is everybody's responsibility. Maybe you want to drive that home. The second piece is the thing. What's the new action that you want people to take? And you go, well, actually, I want them to take a deep breath and pause and look around for dangers every 10 minutes. What a crazy idea, right? Actually defining a new action. And I actually did this with a couple of clients recently where they were delivering some presentation. I said to them, all right, what do you want them to remember? What do you want your audience to do as a result? And they actually really struggled with this. They actually really struggled because they were so deep in their content. And I said to them, well, what do you want people to do as a result? And they're like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, well, maybe you probably want to identify that. And, one of the people were looking at, the helping parents with feeding habits for their children. And I said, okay, great. So what's the new action that you want people to take? And they said, oh, I don't know, like understand the principles. And I said, well, understanding and knowing is not doing, right? So what do you want people to do? What do you want people to do? She really struggled with this. And I said, what do you want them to do? And finally, we got her to the place of when you go to the supermarket, when people go to the supermarket, I want people to look and check out the labels of the food and evaluate if it is the best food for my child based on the following criteria. I'm like, cool, that is a great outcome that you can create with your audience. That is the new action, all right? And then I was talking to someone else recently. We're talking about this in the space of leadership, all right? And I asked them, what do you like? You've got all this knowledge here and all these principles, all this active listening stuff. It's great content, but what do you want people to remember from your session? And what do you want them to do as a result of listening to you? Again, this person really struggled. And like we looked at it and I said, okay, let's look at it. Maybe you want them to know that people have different behavior styles. And you want them to remember that there's 3 styles of behavior. I'm just making this up, folks. There's 3 styles of behavior because I don't want to, upset her content there, right? So I'm just making it up, just give us some examples, right? And he's like, okay, cool, I got that. So there's 3 styles, okay. And so what's the new action you want people to take as a result of listening to you and your presentation? Okay, well, new action, new action. Well, I want them to go out and I want them before or during having a conversation, I want them to pause and identify their participant or their conversation person or the person, their counterpart that they're just about to talk to, what style they may be. So I want them to pause for 3 seconds and identify the style of the person. Am I cool? That is a great new action. That's a great new action. And potentially, you may even have a follow-up presentation or follow-up workshop where people actually, go further with that practice, whatever that may be, right? But when we start to actually zoom out and go, when I'm developing my presentation or my slides or my whatever, or my experience, my workshop, when I'm actually doing that, if I actually identify what do I want people to remember and what do I want them to do differently as a result of giving them my experience, my training session, you will find, guaranteed, the way you design and develop your materials will radically change because you realize that most people don't remember what you say anyway. And you realize that you're going to, if you need to, if you want to actually create the change in people, create transformation, you have to be so much more deliberate. You also need to be a lot more objective and realistic with your expectations of will people actually remember what you tell them. Highly likely, they don't remember much at all. So you need to go, okay, they're not going to remember 90%. What is the 1% that I do want them to remember? And what is the one action that I do want them to take as a result of the experience, right? And if you define it, there's a higher probability that people actually go out and do the thing that you want people to do, right? So just don't drown yourself in your own content. Also, don't drown other people in your content as well, right? Even if you're doing a day presentation, identify in your mind, what is the one new thing that you want people to do as a result of going through your day thing, or your hour thing, or your 30-minute thing, or your 45-minute thing, whatever your thing is, right? What do you want them to know? What new action do you want them to take, right? Do you want them to have an experience that then creates a new experience? Whatever it is, identify it when you're designing it, and guaranteed you're going to get so much more powerful results and impact and absolutely speak to be remembered, right? So on that note, folks, I feel like the background, don't worry, it's not going to appear in every YouTube video, but I'm just having some fun, folks. Make whatever the concept is a larger than life, right? I just sort of play with it. But on that note, if you got some value, you got some gems from the video, go ahead, share the video around, check out the book if you want to check out the book. Yeah, this is the most blatant plug that you'll ever to the book. Anyway, hope you have an awesome week, awesome day, wherever it is, whatever time zone you're watching this video in. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.